I was looking at a Pharrell interview, right? And he said that when he first met you, you was already a millionaire before he even signed you.
Right. See, the thing was, like, this is 1998, what I'm talking about with you. I didn't drop a real album until 2005. If you think about it, that's when my first album came out 2005. In between that time, I've dropped independent project with me and ESG. I got mixtapes, and then another thing we took it to was from doing just like the mixtapes where it's your favorite songs and then it's a freestyle. I freestyle over your beat. We started to make mixtape albums, and what that is all of your freestyles on one mixtape together, with new ones and all that, and those sold like albums. You know what I'm saying? And like I'm telling you, I have a different outlook on music because I got to see my worth through mixtapes in an early age, you know what I'm saying? So when I would drop these mixtape albums, I would be selling just as much as people who selling albums, but I was directly delivering them to all of the stores myself and had a personal relationship with all of the stores myself. So I would cut out the South by Southwest's and so I would get a lot more money, like, off of everything I did than everybody else. Other artists would have a CEO, so the main bulk of their money would come from shows. I would have show money, mixtape money, and I would have independent uh, album sales money. Get your hands up with me and ESG album. That sold over 100,000 independent. So it's like that's how we came up in the game early, and it kind of like took me up to a level to where when I go to sit down with a major, uh, and they talking about 250,000, and we getting that out here off of catalog and dropping mixtapes. It's like they like we got 250 for 3 albums. It's not making sense to me, and that's why I always thought different because I got to see the money early. You know what I'm saying? Which showed me my value to where I would say, man, that ain't enough money for me. And, we could never get on the same page, and until I got with the Interscope and Pharrell them that we finally was able to work something out. You know what I'm saying? Because I was still able, when I did the deal with them, it wasn't an artist deal, it was a label deal. And I was still able to do independent, work. So it kind of helped. I can be promoting on this end and still dropping serve and collect independently, and making that money like that. So it was cool.
So that was one of the reasons why you signed with Pharrell. Because I was about to ask you, you being a millionaire already, what made you sign with Pharrell? You didn't really need him.
Right. So you talking about, like I say, that was 98 when I first started. This 7 years in the game. I was in high school when I first started. Now I'm 24, 25. I'm doing shows every weekend. Like you saying now, I was busy. Like Texas will keep you busy. That's what keep me busy right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it was the same thing back then. But as a youngster, you want to be a star. You want to take it to the level, all the way to the highest level. So eventually I got to the point where, I was like, man, for my first album, I wanted to be, huge or whatever. So let me, yeah, if I got to sacrifice this, cool. But as long as I still can do my independent and mixtapes, I'm going to be able to promote with this machine and still get the independent and mixtape bag this way. So it made sense. So, and I got tired of like doing the same shows like Dallas, Austin, Louisiana, San Antonio. I was kind of like, I wanted to take it to the next level. So that's why I got with Pharrell and Interscope, man. And that's what was the reason behind that.
Makes sense. Make a lot of sense. But I had no idea that, I ain't heard of that. The beat you used for that record, Jay, that was his beat at first for Change Clothes?
Right. I ain't heard of that single was actually a beat that he sent to Jay-Z for Change Clothes remix. So Jay-Z had a verse on there. And before my real album came out, a bootleg of my album that I was working on came out like maybe a month or a year earlier, and that's what that was on. They got the version with his verse off the bootleg. So yeah, that's how they got that one out there.
You was on Chick on it too, right? Speaking of Jay.
Facts. Number one with the B. That was like, see, and that's another thing too. Is like even though I was independent, and that's really like solely my whole career, I did my independent thing. For one album, I got to go see what the other world was like. You know what I'm saying? So I got to go work with Pharrell. You know, be with the machine of Interscope. Just working those studios, be around big people, big artists. You know, be in the studio with the Snoops and Dr. Dre's or whoever it is, and do a number one song with Beyonce. You know, a song with Gwen Stefani, Luxurious, and perform at the American Music Awards. Like I got to see both sides of it. The BET Awards, MTV Awards. I got an MTV Award with Beyonce, you know, so I got to see that side of it. And it was good on that side too. But, you know, naturally I'm just an independent, you know, thinker, independent worker. Like I like to move at my own pace and control, you know, my destiny, you know, and that's just how I always been. So I feel more comfortable and you know at home, you know, when it's like this. But I can't hate on the major experience I had with Pharrell or Interscope. They did do me right. You know, I had a lot of good times over there.
What made you leave the label?
Well, after I put out my album, it was through Geffen Interscope, and they was like a company, you know. So Geffen, the whole company, had dismantled, and they changed the whole staff. Even my A&R didn't work there no more. Like, so it was like in between me dropping already platinum and me trying to put together my next album, we had the whole company changed, you know. So now it's a whole new staff, and you know, and it's two different things. You got them trying to make their first impression, and then you got me over here working with people who I didn't actually, you know, begin with. And everybody was still good people. We still sat down and tried, but at the same time, I don't feel like we just was on the same page with a lot of things. And because we had a good relationship, we was able to figure it out where I could just say, I say, man, look, man, I can't, you know, keep, you know, like I say, I'm used to moving at my own pace. And because it was a lot of changes, it was holding me up. You know what I'm saying? And it was taking long to land my second album, and I got to, you know, calling lawyers and calling them, and we came up with an agreement that I was able to go and get on, and then, you know, like I say, everything been good ever since.
Yeah, and to go back to that for real interview, he also made a comment about how you still good financially to this day.
The facts, like, you know, I'm just not. I don't live beyond my means. Well, I do a lot of crazy stuff. I got a lot of cars, and but at the end of the day, you know, like I'm a hustler, man, and I'm always take money management serious. You know what I'm saying, and not do too much. And he saw that in me back then, man, and that's something, you know, I kept with me, and I'm still, you know, doing my thing to this day, like, you know, building. And like I say, that was one of the best experiences working with Pharrell, because he just on a whole nother level musically, and not even that, just worldwide. You know what I'm saying? He made me think more worldwide and global. And it was a lot of inspiration just being around somebody who just got so much, you know, drip from the fashion, and, you know, just a cool dude, man. Like, you know, everybody loved Pharrell. So me spending that time with him changed my life, man. And I always had love and respect for Pharrell, man, and whatever he do, 100%.
That's good to hear, man. Because I mean, you see a lot of rappers now, and you know they not really doing that good financially, man. I mean, saving money, man, is vital, man. Money management, man, is key, man.
It's honestly, I would say this, like, I believe the personal difference of what we talking about right now is not just money management. It's really, like I told you, being independent. Now that's a different mindset than being on a major label. This is the difference, basically, in a lot of ways. Now it's not always the same for everybody. Now, of course, you're gonna have a small few that it work out for, you know, but for the most part, when you're dealing with majors, you selling your album to them, basically. You know what I'm saying? You're really not gonna get no back end, because they gonna, if even if you successful with selling records, and you go number one, let's say. Now, how many things you seen on Instagram where it say, man, it ain't free to go number one. It's gonna cost you, you know, 500, 250 to do. You can go look at Young Dolph say that, the Coach K's, you know, some of the top people. So them people gonna figure out a way to say they spent that money that they owe you, you know. So basically on the back end, when you dealing with a major, you can't be really expecting the back end, you know, off your music from them, right? So, but when you do stuff independent, I get a check every month. If I drop something right now, in 3 months, I'm gonna get a check, and I'm gonna get a check forever. You see what I'm saying? Forever, every month, every single month, forever. The 1998 we talking about, I get paid from that forever. Most rappers don't get paid from they don't own a masters. So just like when my bills come, I get paid just like it's a job. You know what I'm saying? This is how I believe rap should be. Not just rap, all music should be done. You know, like a job, you should get a check every month off of the work you do. But because artists are taught, or they think that this is the majors is the way to go, or they want the instant gratification, or not even that. I'm not knocking nobody, because everybody have dreams. Of course, if you're in this game, to be the biggest you can be, and everybody thinks that you have to be with a major label to get to that level, which could be true, for a lot of people. So I'm not knocking it, but I'm just trying to explain the difference. The difference is, because I did the mixtapes so early and had a direct connection to the stores, I was able to learn my value, my self-value. And with all that, selling those CDs and having a catalog of, man, you drop this new project, give me 100 of those and 50 of the last ones and 50 more of this one. I understood catalog. I understood that even when you drop new stuff, they still want your old stuff. Through me dropping mixtapes, I understand that how much, like, I'm getting $8 back off of this. Like, I'm getting $8 off my music, and $10, and out my own CD store, 15 off a CD. So I don't look at music like a lot of people look at it. You know what I'm saying? I see the real direct dollar. And because of that, I think like this, and I say, instead of selling my music to a major, I'm gonna continue to build my own houses and put out music every year, and let the catalog grow and get my check every month, and do it that way versus selling my masters to somebody for them to promote me and make me more popular.